This is Corona Reviews, and welcome to the Kobe Project. Join me as I go through the history and performance of the Nike Kobe line and see which model makes it to the top. All right, everyone, welcome to the Kobe Project, episode 2 with the Nike Air Zoom Kobe 2. Now, I got 3 different versions here, and it's the same shoe, the Kobe 2. And let me start by saying that this is no ordinary basketball shoe. It's actually one of the 2 most important reasons why I decided to create the series, and I'll get into it why. But this is the Nike Zoom Kobe 2 sheath or base, normal version. And then we have the strength heavy version. And we have the finisher or light version, the lightweight version here of the shoe. And all 3 of these combined are dubbed the Weapons of War pack. And so this is why you may be asking why I think this shoe is so important, or what the purpose of me saying that was. Well, the whole reason why I wanted to make this series is because I didn't see any reviews. I kept looking to see if anybody had any performance reviews on the Kobe 2, and I just couldn't find it. So I said, hey man, I want to figure out what these shoes actually perform like, so why not do it? So join me as we review the Nike Zoom Kobe 2 Weapons of War. A little bit of backstory here. Released in 2007, the Kobe 2 was inspired by one of Kobe's favorite shoes, which again, second year in a row, being the Nike Huarache 2K4. It really took a lot of inspiration from the Huarache's strap design, as well as some of the lightweight materials and a little bit of the booty area here that the 2K4 also implements. Working once again with Ken Link, Team Kobe decided to set out and take the best parts of the Huarache 2K4 and advance them to greater heights. The shoe itself actually set a couple of precedents, that being that it's made from non-toxic chemicals, no bonding agents, no glue, but rather it was stitched all the way through. So you can see that here in the Kobe Light. All they do is one seamless stitch all the way throughout. And also the sneaker was given a non-traditional midsole. Instead, it has the upper, which is stitched straight into the foot bucket, which means that the insole is where the Zoom bags are embedded, and those are what provide all the cushioning and support. Ken Link stated that the Nike Free and the Nike Considered served as the blueprints and inspiration for changing the way that these basketball shoes were going to be developed. The Considered's influence on the Kobe 2 is super evident, as aforementioned in the single layer upper, which is all stitched and helps to remove all toxic materials, making the shoe as light and flexible as possible. The Nike Free's mark is also left on the outsole, where Ken Link implemented a unilateral linear flex grooves that are intended for enhanced flexibility, and it really innovated this shoe as far as basketball shoes go at the time. In fact, check out what Kobe described was the inspiration, taking it back to this colorway with orca whales.
The inspiration from this shoe, not to bore you guys with all this stuff, but this is just how I think, came from orca whales, and how orca whales how they attack, and they attack in unison, and they strategize, and they actually teach their young how to hunt together. They actually team up as a unit to be able to hunt, and so they work together. It's an actual thought process that they'll go through as a unit. Okay, how are we going to get this done? How are we going to do this? And the fact that the orca whale's size, its agility, and its strength, and its speed, and its power gave me a lot of inspiration of how to look at that and how to interpret that into my game. And so, I mean, if you guys notice anything about me, is when I look at stuff, I'm always looking at it in terms of how can I use this knowledge to improve myself as a basketball player, to improve us as a team. So I'm looking for inspiration from all over the place. And when I saw that, and I just had to call the guys right away and give them this inspiration that I got from watching Animal Planet or something like that, National Geographic. And they just got their juices flowing.
So as you can see, as far as traction go, all three models have the exact same outsole pattern, which are made of the same rubber materials. The outsole was created with the Nike Freeze principle in mind, as it incorporated a series of linear and lateral flex grooves that allowed for increased flexibility with the full herringbone pattern covering each pod. I could see what Link was trying to achieve here as far as the design, trying to couple flexibility with court grip for the ultimate quick attack. This pattern actually worked out pretty well, and I was super surprised to see that it actually worked out pretty well, whether it was a dusty court or a clean court. And actually, as a random idea or thought, when I was actually hooping the lights on a clean, pretty pristine court, I actually had a little bit more sliding, which was really odd. But once I played in these in my usual dusty court, man, grip was great. I had no issues. And the same could be said for these two pairs here. It's basically the same pattern throughout, so in terms of traction, there is no difference with either the light, the normal, or the heavy. As far as the cushioning goes, the Kobe 2's upper, as you can see and as I've stated, it was stitched directly into the shoe's foot bucket, so the insole within is what provides all of that cushioning and support, and it actually sits pretty low, so you get more of a good court feel. It's just millimeters off the ground, and you can really feel the difference when you're on the court. The cushioning setup for the light and the sheath version or the normal version is a heel to forefoot zoom air cushioning, and the only version that changes that is the strength version, which then has a max air implemented into the heel while keeping the zoom air here in the front. And I will say, I actually noticed a difference. It wasn't too varying from these two, but you could feel a little bit more of that impact support whenever you come off of big drives to the rim or anything, as far as jumping up for rebounds. Very comfortable. The cushioning, I would say, is about average. There's nothing that's going to blow you away. It was a very great concept as far as putting it right into the sole and having it all as a one piece, but I would say it's about average. There's no real tangible advantage that I would say the Kobe 2 will lend as opposed to other models of the time. And one thing is for sure, it is a little bit rigid, which makes it a little bit harder because of the outsole here. So cushioning, although you can feel it, it's still a little rigid, it's still a little bit stiff, but not bad. As far as the materials go, depending on which version or colorway that you bought, you will get primarily a base of leather with combination of either patent leather that sometimes comes in the front or the back, possibly a little bit of nubuck, but for the most part it's all leather, and it comes with a plastic heel. And there is an extra layer of padding which is added to the heel, as you can see here, for improved lockdown and comfort into the shoe. Now, as far as the materials go, and this was only with the sheath version or the normal version here, I did have, unfortunately, some cracking there. You can see once I actually started hooping in them. So this is a pretty old shoe now, almost, and it's not quite 20 years, but I would say it's about 16 years now. So I sort of expected this, but it didn't really affect the shoe's performance. It still held up right there. And with the sheath normal version being the only one with the hard plastic heel, I didn't have any issues with that on the strength version, which is super comfy. And the light version, which also has a little bit of a hard plastic, but this one did not crumble at all. Out of the three pairs, I would say for the strength model, the materials definitely worked the best. I love these materials. The leather materials here really break in really soft, and it really makes for a super plush and comfortable ride. One of the biggest parts that I like is this inner booty here with the tongue. It just conforms to your foot and it just hugs, and even though it may look like a hot and heavy ride, for me, I did not have any issues with breathability. I just felt like I was secure, comfy, and just enjoyed every step that I was taking with these. As I stated with the base, it was cracking in the back. It's definitely a lot stiffer than the strength version, and it feels like there's some extra dead space here in the foot or toe box area, so it did make it just a little bit rigid and uncomfortable, but nothing too unbearable. And although not terrible, I would say the light version was the most uncomfortable of all, and that's only because of this upper part here. It's just very stiff. It loses the strap on the light version to cut down on weight, but with that they made this upper part really stiff. And then as you can see, there's no inner booty like the strength version or the light version. This one gets rid of the booty, so all that you're reliant on is a really tight fit up in the top, which I did have to lace all the way up because if not, it feels a little loose. With that being said, it is stiff back here, so this whole part right here just was like digging into my ankle and digging into my leg, so it didn't make it too comfortable. Not terrible, but not the most comfortable thing, although it was still playable. As far as the fit goes, being that the Kobe 2 has 3 different versions, the fit varies between each model. The only one I got in my true size 9.5 was the strength model, and this fits perfect. I think it's a lot to do with the way that the leather materials shaped your foot and also the inner booty. Just a very comfortable ride, and I didn't feel like it was loose or anything. It just conformed well. And the biggest factor as well, I have to say, are the straps here. These straps just lock you in perfectly, so the fit is just incredible once you get that fastened all the way up. I do lace up all the way to the second to last eyelet here, and that's just for my own comfort and stability purposes. I like a tight fitting shoe, but I guess you'd be okay going maybe a little bit lower, although getting that lace up, I think you'd be better off going up. As far as these two go though, I got these both in a size 9, and the fit is not bad. As I stated earlier, this one, the light is stiffer just because it has to make up for some of the support that you lose from the straps, but it fit pretty good. It was not tight, and like I said, it was just a little loose here around the foot or the toe box area. Fit wasn't too bad, half size down, and I was okay to go. After a little bit of break-in, it conforms to your foot, not bad. Same thing goes for the sheath normal version, and that's even with the inner booty here, which I would have thought would have taken up a little bit more space. You still get a little bit more of that same extra space that you get on this one. I think it's just that the material is maybe just a little bit stiff, and I would think that usually that would feel tighter. It does feel tight in some areas, but then loose in some other areas, which for some reason I didn't have that effect with the strength version. So for me, the strength version was superior in the fit. As far as support goes, the Kobe 2 relies heavily on its fit. As I described earlier, the stiff upper helps to strap everything in, and all 3 versions achieve this with the upper being stiff, with the light being the stiffest. These two will help you a little better with the straps. That really helps to lock all the way back into the heel and prevent any sort of heel slippage, which you may experience with this one here. But all of it is sufficient enough. Stability is good, and you do have a nice wide flat outsole, as you can see here, which will eliminate any rocking or tipping that you would otherwise be leery about, especially if you are prone to turning your ankle. So I never had any issues with that, which is definitely a plus. So in conclusion, to me, this is one of the most forgotten Kobes of all time. Even Kobe switched back to the 2K4s and 2K5s towards the end of the season. The Kobe 2 still had some amazing colorways, and some of my favorites, just to name off a few, include the Kobe Las Vegas All-Star, the Kobe Orcas, and the Kobe Preludes. So my personal score for the Kobe 2 is as follow.
Overall, the traction was pretty fair, as all three models share the same type of traction pattern and design. I would give it a 7 out of 10 for all three models. They all performed well on a clean court and even on a dusty court, so I was very pleased with that. No slipping, and I was able to stay on my feet as quick as I wanted to. For cushioning, I would give it a 6 out of 10 for the for the base and the light models. Nothing too impressionable. And I would say for the strength model, I would give it a 7 out of 10 because that Air Max unit in the heel really did make a little bit better of a difference. But overall, due to the stiffness, the cushioning I would say was one of the parts that lacked. With that being said, the stiffness of the materials for the light and the base models were just pretty uncomfortable. Give it a 6 out of 10. Strength model, the materials were very nice, so I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed the ride, and once you break them in, it's a great fit. The fit was the biggest difference between all three models. I will give a 6 out of 10 for the base model. Just the stiffness and shape of it just really threw it off a little bit. Strength model was great and perfect, 8 out of 10. And the light model, because of all the stiffness, I would say was probably the worst, giving it a 5 out of 10. Support was good in the base and the light model. You just got to tie it all the way up, and the straps really do help in the base model. And an 8 out of 10, I would say, in this strength model because of the one-to-one fit in the straps that really help to lock you down. I do recommend the Kobe 2, but specifically the strength model, just because I thought overall that was one of the better performers. So if you pick up any one of these three pairs, they'll be playable, but I would definitely go with the strength model. And one other thing I would like to mention, thanks to the new Nike Kobe deal that was made, I would love to see the Pro Trail line continue, and with the Kobe 2, I would look to see an improvement into the cushioning system, namely as the foot bucket is stitched directly into the sole of the shoe. I would love to see a full-length Nike Zoom Air Strobel bag stitched to the upper, just to improve responsiveness directly underfoot. You can still keep that same original design that was made with this Kobe. And then possibly also adding in a double stacked Nike Zoom airbag in the heel, just like the KD12. These are some of the most well cushioned, comfortable basketball shoes that I've ever worn. So I hope they do that, and I hope to see a Pro Trail model soon. Stay tuned for episode 3, and I'll catch you later, guys.